It's always the quiet ones. The brands we're told embody integrity, discretion, and refinement. The brands that whisper wealth instead of screaming it. But what happens when the house built on immaculate standards hides the ugliest realities? Today we're talking about the Loro Piana scandal. A story so uncomfortable it forces fashion's most elite circles to confront a truth they've pretended didn't exist. Welcome back to GTWJ, where fashion thinks deeper. Follow us on Instagram at GTWJMag for the conversations luxury won't have in public. Loro Piana is a name that carries weight. Quiet luxury royalty. The brand of the ultra-rich, the wardrobe staple of billionaires, tech moguls and old money heirs. Pieces so understated most people wouldn't recognize them. Yet insiders know those €5,000 coats and $2,000 sweaters symbolize elite status far louder than any monogram ever could. But this June, a Milan court placed Loro Piana under 1 year of judicial supervision after uncovering one of the most disturbing labor exploitation cases luxury has seen in years. Thousands of Loro Piana's cashmere garments were being made in illegal factories outside Milan. Undocumented migrant workers stitching those luxury coats and sweaters while sleeping on factory floors, working up to 90 hours a week for €4 an hour. One worker was reportedly assaulted by a factory boss for asking for his unpaid wages. Injuries so severe, he needed 45 days of medical treatment. Let's be very clear, these weren't isolated cases. Italian prosecutors confirmed these sweatshops were producing garments directly for Loro Piana through subcontracted suppliers. The brand, now owned by LVMH, claimed it was unaware, but this wasn't new. Similar labor violations have plagued the Italian luxury manufacturing industry for decades. Dior, Valentino, Armani, several major houses have faced judicial action in just the past year. For Loro Piana, the damage is uniquely catastrophic. This brand didn't trade on logos or hype, it traded on virtue. Its entire identity was built on craftsmanship, artisanal care, and ethically sourced materials. That immaculate control over its cashmere supply chain was its selling point. It's proof of worth. That's why clients pay thousands for an unbranded sweater, and now that promise is broken. Let's talk about what this means for luxury today. The modern luxury market is in a delicate place. Consumers have grown hyper-aware of exploitation in fast fashion, but they believed luxury was better, not just because of higher prices, but because of the narrative: fair wages, sustainable sourcing, and generational craftsmanship. Loro Piana was supposed to be proof of that system, the house that sourced baby cashmere directly from Mongolian herders, ensuring ethical practices from field to storefront. The brand whose garments were featured on Succession as the uniform of quiet, untouchable wealth. Now we know thousands of those garments were made in illegal factories where labor laws were ignored, safety standards abandoned, and workers' rights stripped. It exposes a long-standing contradiction in luxury. The veneer of purity, hiding industrial realities eerily similar to those fast fashion is vilified for. It also underscores a much bigger industry problem. Roughly half of the world's luxury clothing and leather goods are made in Italy, but decades of pricing pressure from conglomerates have birthed a black market economy of undocumented labor and illegal subcontracting. Prosecutors in Milan have called it an open secret, and brands, intentionally or not, have benefited from the lower production costs it offers. For Loro Piana, the blow is existential. When your brand's entire appeal is built on control, obsessive perfection, and integrity, losing that moral high ground strips away your identity. Psychologically, this scandal taps into why people buy quiet luxury. It's about control, taste, moral superiority. Owning pieces only insiders recognize. Knowing your coat wasn't just expensive, but ethically made. Now, consumers are being forced to question whether those assumptions were ever true. And in a moment where if you know culture dominates luxury circles, no brand wants to be the one insiders whisper about for the wrong reasons. The broader implication is that consumers are about to get smarter. The future of luxury isn't just scarcity or status, it's transparency. We're going to see more demand for proof of origin, ethical audits, and closed-loop production systems. It's also a brutal reminder that even at the highest levels, money pressures remain. Quiet luxury has exploded in recent years, becoming the ultimate signifier of new generational wealth. And with that demand comes temptation to compromise. This scandal won't end Loro Piana. Its loyal client base will still wear it. The brand will recover with statements, audits, and new safeguards. But it will never again be able to trade on unshaken virtue. That myth is gone. It also changes how we as consumers need to approach luxury. Price tags don't guarantee ethics. Heritage doesn't equal purity. And the true cost of quiet luxury may not be printed on the label. Follow at GTWJ Mag on Instagram for deeper dives into the hidden side of luxury fashion, the scandals, the shifts, the culture, and subscribe here, because what happens behind the showroom is where the real story begins. And what makes this even more fascinating is how quietly these stories are still being handled in elite circles. You won't see A-listers dropping Loro Piana overnight. You won't see Succession's costume designer issuing apologies for dressing the Roys in those $5,000 coats. Because in the world of real wealth, perception is currency. The Oldmoney playbook teaches discretion in both indulgence and scandal. Brands like Loro Piana are protected by their clientele's aversion to public outrage. A scandal is only a scandal if the right people decide to talk about it. And when your client base sits at private members' clubs, yacht decks in Sardinia, and invitation-only art fairs, the conversation rarely reaches the masses. But make no mistake, behind closed doors, this is being discussed. Because when a house that's built its entire value proposition on trust and authenticity slips up, it rattles the quiet luxury hierarchy. If Loro Piana's reputation is now compromised, what does that mean for the rest? Who's actually overseeing those immaculate supply chains? What other brands are hiding the same underbelly beneath hand-stitched labels and sky-high prices? And it leaves the modern luxury consumer, especially those new to the old money aesthetic, in a precarious position. Because we've seen this before. The very brands people turn to as an escape from flashy logomania now risk the same scrutiny as the ones they used to mock. Quiet luxury isn't immune to the consequences of globalization, industrial greed, and supply chain opacity. It also marks a crucial turning point in 2025's fashion psychology. The appetite for discernment is higher than ever. Consumers aren't just buying for status or quality, but for narrative. And if the narrative falls apart, so does the desire. This scandal signals that the real flex isn't what's on your label anymore. It's proof of ethics, owning the one brand that actually passed the test, wearing the item with traceable origins, fair paid labor, and sustainable practice. That's going to be the new signifier of true insider taste. Because the future of quiet luxury isn't louder branding, it's louder integrity. And if brands don't pivot fast, the ones that do will quietly steal their clients. So next time someone tells you luxury is about timelessness, craftsmanship, and heritage, ask them who made it and how much they were paid. Follow at GTWJ Mag on Instagram for the conversations luxury insiders don't want public, and subscribe for more deep, intelligent breakdowns of the power plays, scandals, and psychology behind what we wear and what it really says. Because fashion doesn't just clothe us, it reveals us.